Hey there, Crystal Thompson here for Simon Says Stamp. Today I have the limited edition Stamptember and I'm making 4 fast and easy cards with the contents of the kit. This kit is full of really amazing products that I think you're gonna love. For my first card, we're gonna do some watercolor stripes. We're gonna be using the awesome Freestyle Flowers. This is a 6x8 stamp set. It's quite big, and we're also going to be using the really fun, you have a sampler of the 9 Daniel Smith watercolor samples, and these are exclusive Simon Says colors. I have a piece of cardstock ready to go. This is not watercolor cardstock, this is just normal cardstock, so I wanted to show you that you can watercolor on it regardless if it's watercolor or not. So we're going to grab the large floral stamp set from the set. I'm going to stamp it using the Simon Says Stamp Watermark Embossing ink pad. Then I'm going to bring in the Simon Says white embossing powder, and this is also included in the kit, but I just wanted to show you that I had added it onto my little container, then using a spoon, and we're going to spoon it on there. Once it's heat set, we're going to place it right onto our card, and now we're ready to do our watercolor. So I have a watercolor brush, and in the kit there is a water brush included in the kit, so you're getting a ton of really cool products in one kit. I'm adding a little bit of water to the Daniel Smith watercolor samples and then adding these stripes. And what you can do is just do a very light, very basic one, and then come back a little bit later and add a heavier set or a heavier hand if you want. And I found that when using these sampler watercolors, if you add a drop of water onto the little dots of paint, it kind of softens up the medium and it really allows you to lift up. Also, another technique idea that I can give you is to start with your lightest and then come back with your darkest. It's gonna be a lot easier when you're cleaning your brush. Then we're gonna set that aside and let it dry. I have a piece of white cardstock ready to go. I'm going to stamp the sentiment from the kit, and we're gonna stamp it using the Simon Says Stamp Watermark and Embossing ink, and then holding it down for just a couple seconds using the Simon Says Stamp white embossing powder. It's a super fine detail powder, really love it. And then we're going to heat set. Once it's nice and heat set and cool, I'm going to grab my koi watercolors and I'm going to grab black. So if you don't have any other watercolors aside from the ones included in the kit, you can create black by mixing all the colors on that watercolor sample sheet, and you will get black. I'm adding a nice stripe of this, making it nice and dark, and don't worry if you feel like it's gonna hide that sentiment, because we did heat embossing, is gonna resist it. So we're doing some heat embossing watermark resist. We're gonna remove the extra off with finger or paper towel, and you can wait for it to dry if you like, then using a damp piece of paper towel or finger, whatever, then remove the top. I've trimmed it up, added foam adhesive, and we're going to be placing it on our card here shortly. Before that, I have some gold paint, and this is from Heidi Swap, but you can use even watercolor cardstock, create a nice medium, and then splatter it onto your card. It's a really cool way to do some embellishments without actually having to pull out, you know, the glue and the sequins and whatnot. While that dries, I have some gold thread. And as you can see, I'm at the very tail end of this, and I love gold thread for the purposes of giving some soft embellishment and not really taking away from the card. So I've created a nice circle. I'm having this, I'm going to stick it onto the back of that foam adhesive and using the adhesive off of that foam to hold on to it. And then we're going to place it on the center of our card. Be sure that all your watercoloring is completely dry, your flickers are water, and you have a nice card ready to go using the limited edition Simon Says Step card kit. We're going to move on to our next card. So for this one, we're keeping it nice, clean, and simple. There's an awesome stencil included in the kit. It's also called the Freestyle Flowers. This is a 6x6 stencil. I have my cardstock cut out of the same 4 1/4, 5 1/2, and then I have that centerpiece that has been cut out using a die, and it has little stitches. Now, we're going to be masking prior to stenciling. I don't have any masking tape anymore. I think I've used it all. So I have lots of washi tape that I don't use. So I'm going to create my masking with washi tape. So I'm going to washi tape one end and then washi tape the other, and be sure that you check the stickiness of your washi tape before you stick it down on your cardstock. If it's too sticky, when you lift it up, it will tear it. So if you find that it's too sticky, you can touch it onto the palm of your hand. It's going to grab the oils from your hand, and it's not going to tear the cardstock when you lift it. So that's a nice little tip if you're using anything other than masking. So once I've created my nice rectangle square, I'm going to turn this around and then using washi tape again. And this one's a little stickier, so I decided that I was going to use this to hold the stencil to the cardstock, and adding 2 pieces of washi tape, one on one side and one on the other, to hold this down. You can even use stencil spray if you have it, but you know me, I like to use what I have on hand, and of course the limited edition Simon Says stamp card kit. So making sure that I am gonna hold on. So now I'm putting here washi to washi, and I know I could fast forward this, but I wanted to show you the full process of doing the masking and then how we're gonna hold on our stencil. This stencil, it's very thin, it is very delicate, and so I want to make sure that it didn't move. Grabbing the Shabby Shutters Distress ink, we're going to be doing some ink blending, and as I was ink blending, I decided that I was just going to add the green to where you would have leaves. So this is just my reasoning behind it. You can do whatever colors you like, whatever color combo, but again, just doing the green with the leaves. We're doing dry marigold, moving on to the rest of those flowers. And then I decided I was going to dab the first set of color because I didn't want them to kind of get lost in the translation, and then move the stencil. Move on to Cracked Pistachio, which is kind of a minty blue. It's really pretty. And then we're going to make some of those flowers nice and blue, filling in some of the white spaces and dabbing on top as opposed to, you know, doing a round circular. And then last but not least, we're using Worn Lipstick, which is just a really pretty pink. And as you can see, I'm not being too heavy hand. I'm not pressing a ton. I'm just letting that color sit on top. Really get the look of the stencil. And blending those colors in. I'm going to finish the ink blending. We're going to remove that. And now we're going to remove the whole washi tape. So as you can see, I am lifting. And not lifting up, but essentially trying to either roll off to the side. Don't pull up, or you can kind of tear up your cardstock, and you don't want to do that. And then as I pull them up, I create the little washi into a little ball, and we can move on to put our card together. Using the Simon Says stamp Intense Black. I love this ink pad just because it is Copic friendly. I use it to watercolor as well, and then I heat set it before I go to watercolor. We're going to use the Oh Happy Day from the Simon Says Stamp Freestyle 6x8 clear stamp set included in the kit. I'm holding it down just to make sure that I get a nice, clean, crisp image, and that is ready to go. Now we can place this onto our card base or card panel, depending on what you decide to do. And it's going to be super nice. I'm going to turn this around. We're going to add some foam adhesive and then placing it on the card. And so that's our second card using the limited edition Simon Says Stamptember 2020 card kit. I'm so excited for this. Now we are moving on to our third card, right? These are super easy, super fast, and I'm really showing you the real time. For this one, we're going to use the green leaf cardstock, doing some ink blending and using the Freestyle Flowers stencil as well. So as you can see, there's still a little color left from my earlier adventures. Going to bring in some washi tape again to hold the stencil down to the cardstock, and I am not going to be doing any masking on this. I have 3 different colors of Distress Oxides. You can use Distress inks, you can use regular dye inks, whatever you like, go grab it. I'm going to add a couple little pieces of washi tape to the back, and then we can flip it around and begin our ink blending. I'm going to start with the Twisted Citron, and again doing a very rough, very quick ink blending onto that green leaf cardstock. And so my thought process here is I'm going to do 2 sets. I'm going to do 1 set on the left and then 1 set on the right, leaving some of the original green leaf cardstock, not blended whatsoever, right on the middle. And then we're going to do some sentiment blending. So this kit comes with a birthday sentiment strip sheet. And so what that means is there's all these really cute sentiments that you can just cut using your paper trimmer and then add foam or color or blend. And I'm going to be doing some ink blending. I have this super cute glitter pen, and I'm going to just follow along on the edge of my flowers and really get those to pop up. I didn't use a super heavy, super dark green because I wanted it to still look really soft and not be too overpowering. And so I removed the stencil to show you what it looked like. I'm going to place it back up, and now we're going to repeat the process onto the right side. And if you find that the color is just not dark enough for you, go grab something else. Go grab a little darker color for you. It's okay. And if you're finding that your stencil is shifting around and you didn't use stencil adhesive, just press down as opposed to blending, and there you have it. I have my kind of like a focal point. It's a negative focal point or backwards focal point, which looks really cool. So here is the Simon Says Stamp birthday sentiment strip that I mentioned earlier. It's a sheet with sentiments. I'm doing some ink blending to it to get it to match. Bringing back my gold paint, we're gonna do some more flickering, and I'm really aiming to create super easy, fast cards for very minimal supplies. And so this is one of those. I'm using the same inks, you know, Distress Oxides, using the gold paint, and then lots of foam adhesive to bring dimension. We're going to place that age is just a number. And after I placed it down, I decided like, oh no, you know what? I want to place it further down, especially since my gold splattering was not completely dry. And I like to do all my steps in one set, even if I'm not, you know, if I'm not done. And last but not least, I wanted to use the 4 Crayola markers in the set and that awesome cute little wreath. So for this one, as I mentioned, we're going to use the markers. So I got 4 sets of markers, and I'm going to be using the acetate, the clear plastic packaging from the stamp set. So as you can see it's just clear packaging, because these are water-based markers. They're going to react to water. It's going to create a really cool pigment. So I'm adding these colors right on the center of that. Gonna bring in the watercolor brush pen included in the kit. So as you can see, a lot of this stuff is included in the kit. You're not having to go purchase extra stuff. Grab one of the white 120-pound cardstock included in the kit as well. And then I'm just pressing this down, smooshing the ink from the Crayola markers, and I was very pleasantly surprised how vibrant and easy it was to do this. I let this dry for just a couple minutes and came back to do some heat embossing. So because I did not use watercolor cardstock, I did use the 120-pound cardstock included in the kit. I'm going to washi tape down the cardstock to my surface before I move on to doing any heat embossing, because I want it to not move. Make sure that your watercolor cardstock is completely dry before you move on to any heat embossing. Gonna grab the Simon Says Stamp Watermark Embossing ink. Gonna ink up that wreath included in the Freestyle Flowers 6x8 clear stamp set. We're gonna try to place it right in the center. I can't promise I'm gonna do the best job on that one. And then I'm gonna let it sit for just a couple seconds to really let the cardstock absorb that watermark ink. And just pressing down, hanging out. I'm gonna bring in my Simon Says Stamp heat embossing, and this is silver, so this is not included in the kit, but I love the silver, and I thought it would kind of just really pop with that pretty Crayola marker ink smooshing that we just did. So we're gonna add that silver embossing powder all the way around. I'm going to shift this around, and you can remove your washi tape at this point if you find that it didn't serve your purpose. You can even use a stamp positioner if you're kind of afraid that you might miss it, but it's okay if your cardstock curls when you're using water and you used a lot of water, and I really did use a ton of water. Then I'm going to let that sit for a minute. I'm going to come grab the stamp set from the sentiment stamp set that fit right in the center. I'm going to put it on my block. And then again, we're going to repeat the process using the Watermark ink. And I found that you're looking what I'm doing here. I found that if you put it down on your surface and then use the lines of your acrylic block, you're more likely to get it on straight. And that one took me a bit, you know, quite some time to figure it out. You just don't put you don't put your sentiment strip just on your acrylic block. Anyways, we're going to stamp down with the Watermark ink, bringing back that embossing powder, covering that up, and then we're going to heat set with the heat gun. And once that's done, I have a piece of gray cardstock from one of my previous Simon Says kits. And I didn't want to put it on one of the very bright color cardstocks because I didn't want it to take away from the really cool watercolor blend that we got going on here. I'm going to trim some of these edges to just make it nice and straight. And last but not least, I'm going to embellish with some translucent Nouveau drops. And so this is going to dry it's going to have a little tinge of blue, but aside from that, it's just going to dry clear, and it's not going to take away from that awesome silver or take away from the Crayola ink smooshing technique that we just created. And guys, I'm going to finish this up, just going to add lots of little drops. I appreciate you being here with me. Let me know your thoughts on the card kit. I do hope you enjoyed it. All products are going to be listed below down in my video. And guys, again, thanks so much for joining me, sticking along with me for Stamptember celebration. It's been an amazing month and so much collaboration. It's been a tough year between all these amazing stamp companies and Simon. And again, thanks for letting me bring my cards to you, my creative works. And I hope that you guys have an amazing day. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, comment down below.